Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I will be explaining about the express entry and all its related aspects. This video is going to be divided into 3 subparts and will serve as a one-stop place for everything that you will need to know about how to apply under express entry, no matter which part of the world you're currently living in. In this video, we will cover how to know if you're eligible to apply under express entry and what you need to have to qualify for this program, how to create an express entry profile, and lastly, what are the documents that you will require to create a profile under express entry and properly submit your file for Canadian PR after you have received an invitation to apply. So without any further waiting, let's get started with the video. Okay, before starting, let's first talk about what express entry program really is. So as per a reputed website, Express Entry is an online immigration system which manages skilled workers applications for permanent residence to Canada under federal and certain provincial economic programs. So basically anyone who is at least 30 years old with a bachelor's or a master's degree, who is able to demonstrate good proficiency in English or French and whose skills and qualifications fall under the category needed to immigrate to Canada can choose the path towards a Canadian permanent residency. The first thing that we need to talk about in detail is how to figure out if you really are eligible to immigrate to Canada. So basically there are 4 immigration classes that fall under express entry. First is Federal Skilled Worker class, in short FSW. Second is Federal Skilled Trades class, in short FST. The third is Canadian Experience class, or you can say CEC. And lastly, the Provincial Nominee class, or PNC. In this video, we will only discuss about the first 3 programs, that is the FSW, the FST, and CEC, and leave PNC for a different video because PNC has its own aspects and can be applied for alongside the other 3 main programs that helps bumping up your score. Okay, now let's start on how to know if you're eligible to apply. The first is language. For FST, you will need to have a CLB, which is the Canadian Language Benchmark, of at least 5 in speaking and listening, and CLB 4 for reading and writing. In terms of IELTS bands, you will need to have at least 5 bands in speaking and in listening, and at least 3.5 bands in reading and 4 bands in writing. For FSW, the requirement is a bit higher and you are required to have a CLB of at least 7 in all 4 modules. In terms of IELTS bands, that means at least 6 bands in all 4 modules. Anything lower than that and you will not be eligible to apply under that program. And finally, for CEC class, you're required to have a CLB of at least 7 if you're applying under the NOC 0 or A, which is the National Occupational Classification that I will talk about soon. That means a minimum of 6 bands in each module, or CLB 5 if you're applying under the NOC B, which is a minimum of 4 bands in reading and at least 5 bands in writing, speaking, and listening module. Now let's talk about what NOC really is. But before going ahead, I would like to urge you all to please subscribe, like, and comment on this video and let me know your thoughts about this video. Also, you can check out my other informative videos related to immigration. I've been living in Canada for about 8 years now, and I have just started out on YouTube to share my experiences as well as be helpful to you all in some way who have an utmost desire to come to Canada. Your one hit on the subscribe button will really give me lots of motivation and strength to continue making such immigration videos for you all in future. Okay, getting back to what NOC really is. So basically, it's a classification of different job positions that are categorized based on their skill type and to differentiate one job from another. In short, it's a very useful tool that helps you figure out what NOC code your skills and experiences exactly fall under. There are a total of 5 skill types found under this classification. The NOC code 0, A, B, C, and D. Sounds pretty obvious except 0. Skill type 0 covers more of the managerial jobs like factory managers, restaurant managers, and so on. Skill type A covers professional jobs that require a degree from the universities, call it doctors, engineers, dentists, for example. Skill type B covers technical jobs and skilled trades that either require special training or a college diploma. Skill type C and D covers intermediate and labor jobs, but none of these both can be used in express entry, so we can leave them aside. The next eligibility factor is your work experience. For FST, you're required to have Canadian or foreign work experience of 2 years within the last 5 years, either combination of full-time or part-time work in any of the skilled trades found in NOC B. A few of the occupations that are covered under this class are industrial, electrical, and construction trades, maintenance and equipment operation trades, supervisors and technical jobs in natural resources, agriculture, and related production, processing, manufacturing, and utilities, supervisors and central control operators, chefs and cooks, butchers, and bakers. For FSW, you're required to have 1 year continuous Canadian or foreign work experience within the last 10 years, combination of part-time, full-time, and any of the 3 skill types, which is 0, A, or B. For CEC, you're required to have 1 year of only Canadian work experience within the last 3 years in any of the 3 skill types, either combination of full-time or part-time work. For both FSW and FST, you can either apply with a Canadian work experience or foreign work experience, but to apply under CEC class, you will only need to have a Canadian work experience. So basically, if you're living outside Canada and have never been here before, the only categories that you can apply under is the FSW and FST. For Canadian residents who came here for study or work purposes and now want to pursue for PR, can apply under any of the three categories, whichever they find suitable. Remember, finding the right NOC code is a very important step in your PR application, and a single error can cost you a lot. So be careful with that. It is a combination of 4 numbers. Take 1242, the legal administrative assistance, for example, where 1 means business, finance, and administration occupations, 2 means skill type B, and 42 is a dedicated number for this job. If we take another one, for example, let's say 7321, that is the automotive service technicians. The 7 here means the trade and transport related occupations, and 3 means skill type B. To have a better picture of what category your job falls under, you can either look at these pictures or simply visit the link in the description and try inputting the keywords about what you do. If you're not sure, don't hesitate to take a professional's help in finding the right NOC code for you. Also, a very important thing that you need to note, especially who are planning to apply under the FSW program, is that you need to note that you are required to score at least a minimum of 67 points out of 100 to be eligible for this program. Anything lower and you would automatically be rejected by the system. These points are given out based on your language skills with a maximum of 28 points, education with a maximum of 25 points, work experience with the maximum of 15 points, age with a maximum of 12 points, and arranged employment in Canada if you can arrange one for yourself, or you can say a valid 1-year job offer from a Canadian employer with a maximum of 10 points. And lastly, adaptability. That is, your spouse can get a maximum of 10 extra points as well if they are able to gather any of the previous selection points we just talked about, or if you or your spouse has a relative living in Canada who is a permanent resident or a citizen. Now let's talk about how to create your Express Entry profile. Before we do that, please note that once you create a profile and include yourself in a pool of hopeful candidates, you, however, can only apply online and submit your application for PR if you have received an invitation to apply, or popularly known as ITA. Creating a profile and entering the pool doesn't guarantee that you will surely receive an ITA in future. It totally depends on the weekly or monthly draws that are conducted by the IRCC that will make you eligible and ultimately send you an ITA to apply for PR. A recent draw that took place in February, where a huge 27,332 invitations were given out to candidates with only a score of at least 75 and more. Unfortunately, the draw was only for CEC candidates, that are the ones with the Canadian work experience. If you were lucky, you would have definitely gotten a hold of that. If you were not, then you gotta be prepared for any such draws that might happen anytime in future, for not just CEC but FSW and FST candidates as well. Okay, getting back on how to create an Express Entry profile. The first thing that you need to do is take a language test in at least one of the Canada's 2 official languages, that is English or French. It is a must because the online system will be asking you about the score you achieved, the date the test was taken, the registration number, and all such info. Alongside, you need to score the minimum required bands to be eligible for any program of your choice. And yes, you can definitely work out on your language skills and bring as high bands as possible, because your language proficiency really does a very big impact on your profile overall. The second thing that you need to do is get your foreign education, that is the education you took back home, to be assessed by one of the following regulated organizations approved by the IRCC. Comparative Education Service, University of Toronto School of Continuing Studies, International Credential Assessment Service of Canada, World Education Services, International Qualification Assessment Service, and International Credential Evaluation Service. Any organization other than these ones, and the assessment will not be accepted by the IRCC. Also, please note that this assessment is not necessary if you are applying under the FST program or the CEC class, because FST candidates will be mainly applying on the basis of their skills, and CEC candidates already require their education in Canada. But I would still suggest that just to increase your chances for a successful application, please go ahead with an assessment, no matter which category you're planning to apply under. For the CEC applicants, you can have your foreign bachelor's or master's degree assessed as well to bump up your score a little bit. The next third thing that you're required to do is that you have to determine what NOC your jobs and duties mainly belong to. Remember, to apply under Express Entry, only 0, A, and B category jobs are eligible to apply. I've already talked about what the NOC codes are just now, and to determine one for yourself, I've included a link in the description, so go check that out. Now the fourth step, once you have gathered all the required documents, you will need to go to this link that I've also mentioned in the description and start filling out your credentials. This website is a Canadian government regulated and only takes about 10 to 15 minutes to finish. They ask for all the selection points that we already talked about. That is the language, age, work experience, education, relatives, etc. Upon completion, the system will automatically tell you what programs you could be eligible for. So make sure you're filling up your information as accurate as you can. After that, the website will give you a detailed list of instructions on what to do next, also with instructions on how to create an Express Entry profile. Okay, so once you have determined that you're eligible for one of these Express Entry programs, let's proceed and talk about the documents that will be required to gather before making an Express Entry profile. So the documents that you will need to start is your passport or travel document, your language test results, which is the IELTS or CELPIP in English, or TEF and TCF in French. A proof of Canadian education if applying under CEC, or an ECA, which is an Educational Credential Assessment Report for the education done outside Canada. A detailed information about the NOC code and job duties that you do. A provincial nomination, not mandatory, but if you have one, it really bumps up your score. A written job offer from your employer, proof of work experience, that could be your pay stubs, your bank statements, an experience letter, and as such, and a certificate of qualification in a skilled occupation if you have any. Proof of funds, which is 12,669 Canadian dollars for a single applicant and 15,772 Canadian dollars for 2 applicants, and so on. If you're married and have a spouse and independent child, you have to fill out information about those as well. And once the draw takes place and you get the invitation to apply, you're required to have a couple more documents along with the ones we already discussed. Those are police certificates. Police certificates are called differently in each country. They may be called good conduct certificates, judicial record extracts, or names similar to that. You need to submit a police certificate for any country that you've stayed in for a minimum of 6 consecutive months since you turned 18. If your certificate is in any other language, then it need to be translated into English or French and certified. Next is medical exam. I would suggest booking an appointment for a medical examination as soon as possible once you obtain an invitation, because in today's pandemic crisis, there has been a lot of delays going on at the clinics and hospitals, most of them staying closed. So get an appointment as soon as possible, I'd recommend. Next is your birth certificate. Make sure it's translated into English or French depending on which province you are planning to come to, and have it certified as well. 2 copies of your digital photograph along with your family members that will be accompanying you. Make sure you follow the specific requirements of shape, size, and color set by the IRCC. And lastly, a filled out use of a representative form if you're taking the help of an accredited and authorized immigration consultant in filing your application. Alright, so that was all, guys. Please be advised that this is the first step in your process of obtaining a Canadian PR. Without creating a profile, you will not be able to put yourself in the pool of eligible candidates and eventually not be considered for an invitation to apply. That is an ITA for PR. So be careful that you're submitting all the information and documents as accurate, as genuine as possible. I hope everybody's wish to come to Canada gets fulfilled as soon as it can. And please don't forget to like, share, and especially subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate your support. You can also check out my other Canadian immigration related topics on these videos. Till then, good luck, stay safe, see you next week. Bye-bye.